Hey folks, Dave here. I just wanted to go through my typical gun cleaning, what I usually do. Now I have an airless, but this also pertains to air-assisted airless. This also pertains to cup guns. This pertains to the pressure pot systems, and so yeah, basically gun anatomy is pretty similar throughout them all, on the exception of air-assisted airless. It has a two-component needle system. So that one's a little bit more complex. I would definitely recommend, if you don't know how to do it, I would definitely recommend a professional at your distributor where you get your stuff. They usually have techs that know that kind of stuff. So yeah, and anyways, this is part of an air-assisted an airless system. And so we're just gonna unplug that. I'm gonna twist that around. I always squeeze the trigger to allow, if there's any fluid, the pressure will actually drain that fluid back into the bag inside. So I'm just going to wiggle back and forth, pull it off, and then there you go. This here, this can just undo, and then these are usually disposable. So I basically take the bag out, take that out. Now I do have a waste right below me here. Just carefully put the waste in. And then I put the cap on. And then dispose of it in the garbage. Okay. All right, so I'm going to set this aside. Set this aside. Now, I usually have a toolkit for my cleaning and cleaning only. So in here, I have all my different bristle brushes. I have all my more aggressive brush, my adjustable wrench, which I call it a Saskatchewan socket wrench. To the mechanics out there, that's a good joke. Yeah, and I have different attachment, different sizes. And this is pretty important when it comes to my maintenance and cleaning on all my guns and tools. So I have other arsenals of different things. You even have syringes. So that's for another thing. I have different sizes of needles, and this is actually meant for thicker viscosity fluids. Like if I would want to do a paint, like latex paint or something, yeah, this would be the needle and the Aircap and such to utilize for that. But yeah, I have a bunch of different measuring devices in here when I'm dealing with measuring catalyst on a small quantity of such. Then I'll go resort to these. So, but anyways, this is what I keep in my gun cleaning kit. Now, this is all typical when it comes to guns. You just unscrew your fluid nozzle, and it comes with the spring. So you just make sure that doesn't spring out and you lose the spring. So you just take that, put it aside, pull the trigger, and pull your needle out. Okay. And what we're going to do, we're going to put these. I have a soak container that I have, and this will basically get rid of a lot of the caked on material that's already dried up in the gun assembly. This gun has been setting in there for about 24 hours, so it has some residue on there. So I basically put it in my thinners, take off the air cap, and then I'm just going to take off this nozzle. Just put that down, and it shouldn't be very difficult at all. There we go. And then put both of these components in here nice and gently. And then when it comes to my gun, now you have, in this gun here, I don't have any rubber O-rings, but in other guns there are. So when it comes to soaking your gun, take caution. Rubber will swell up, and then you won't have a tight fitting anymore when it comes to those rubber O-rings. Now they have new ones. They have Teflon. They've had them around for a long time. But if you don't know about it, see if you can get Teflon O-rings. Those are really useful, and they last forever. They might cost a little bit, but in longevity, it will save you a whole bunch of trouble. So anyways, when it comes to this, soaking this gun, I want to make sure there's fluid in there. As such, you can see it inside. So I want to soak all this compartment right here. And so in order to do that, I'm just going to tilt it, and I'm just going to place it inside there. I don't want my handle to get wet. So I'm just going to place it in there. And I have enough fluid in there that it will soak that area without soaking the whole entire gun. The outside cleaning of the gun I do separately after this stage here. So yeah, I'm just going to let this soak for a few minutes, and then I'll be back to continue. Cheers. And we're back, and we're going to just continue on to the next stage. Now you'll see up here that I have my wash thinner in here. This is where I do all my cleaning of my guns and such. Here, I'm just softening all the materials that are hardened in there. And now, since time has gone by, they're now quite soft. I can get rid of them through either quadruple seal wool, or one of my bristle brushes would look after that as well. So we're just going to take the needle out, and you see that the material on there has softened up quite a bit. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab out steel wool, tear it in half. Usually I try to conserve my supplies like that. And I'll dip it into my thinners. And you just go like that, and just dip it in there. That gets rid of the majority of the debris. Okay. I'm gonna grab one of my bristle brushes here, dip that in, and just give that a good thorough cleaning. Okay. Always brush in towards your container so it doesn't splash around you. And I haven't done this for a while, but what I like to do sometimes is I'll take one of my bristle brushes, one of my thicker ones, okay, and I'll dip that in there in my thinners, and I'll just go back and forth through all the holes. That way, over time, dust and material and debris can get in there, and it can restrict your airflow. It can distort it as well and redirect it into areas that you don't want to, and it'll cause an imperfect spray pattern. So it's good to keep those maintained. And grab a Aircap. Just get rid of a lot of the majority of the debris that does settle on there when you're spraying. Always clean and have the splatter go towards the container instead of yourself. Okay, just a little maintenance there. Let's see. I'm going to take this ring, put it in my wash, and there's a little piece of debris in there. Okay, so that just comes out. Okay, just put it in there. Now with this one here, it's so small inside there, you're going to have to just use some of the smaller bristle brushes here. And I'll usually just take a couple of them, soak them in there, and then just twirl it around the side. Okay, and you can even spin this and put pressure on the sides, so you're just scraping the inside of there as well. Now when it comes to the small orifice, even my smallest bristle brush is too small to fit through the opening, right? It's just right there, and you don't want to force it. You never force it. You never want to distort that orifice there. So I usually take my small cleaning rods, and I'll actually go and make sure that I can go through. And I'll even get a thicker one here and there. That's a good size right there. And they have little ribs right there to help and assist in cleaning. Make sure that that's metal to metal. And if there's any debris in there, especially when dealing with primers, you want to make sure that your next thing that you're spraying is clear. is not going to have white fibers in it. So it's important to maintain them regularly. I'm just going to dip this in there, get rid of the majority part. You can see it actually inside there. I'll actually twist it around. Okay, and then I'll pull that out, give it some bristles on the side pressure. Okay, and then I'll take my little brush, clean the outside of that. And again, when it comes to cleaning, you can take your steel wool, and clean the outside, you're done. And that's the way it's nicely clean and maintained. I do this virtually with every cleaning wash. And use different bristle brushes for different purposes. This one here, I like to get into my trigger, back of my trigger. Okay, I'll switch that around, do it that side. And again, just keep it rinsed out. Okay, now I'm into my wash. Get rid of my soap. Okay. Now this is my clean. Okay, and this is my wash. So basically, these are virtually already dry. This just did a quick rinse. And I'll get the whole gun wet. So this hard plastic, no, it's okay that it's in. I would never want to submerge it and leave it in thinners, but at the same time, you know, a quick little dip and a little clean does a lot. And I don't want any cloth fibers in there, so I'll just keep that and it'll evaporate. Reach in there and grab my needle, swish it around in my clean, and then just clean that nicely. I always have a clean rag here to place all my clean parts on, so I don't get any dust or debris or anything else attaching itself onto my clean parts. Then when I assemble it, it could affect my result of my finish. Okay, so I'll rinse it off. Okay, and if there's any dirt or whatever, it will get rid of it. If there's anything missed. Now, dealing with lacquer thinners, you should wear gloves. I don't like to be exposed to it very often. It really dries out your hands. And I like to take precautions normally, but I'm not wearing gloves at this time, just for demonstration purposes. Plus, it's hard to find a rubber glove that doesn't deteriorate within minutes. And that's the unspoken truth regarding rubber gloves. You haven't really found a pair that I've known of that won't disintegrate upon a few minutes of being exposed to lacquer thinner or wood stains. It will definitely deteriorate the fingers and they'll fall right off. Yeah, and one more piece. It's this. Again, you just check, make sure that it's nice and clean on the inside, and you can actually see the hole in the center. Right there. Yeah, nice and clean. Give it a little blow, make sure it's nice and clean and clear of anything. Okay, so I'm just going to close up my lids here. So now we're going to put the gun back together. So in essence, I do everything in kind of reverse. Make sure everything's back on to where it was. Get hand tighten it. And then grab the wrench. Okay, make sure it's on nice tight. Tighten it. You do want a nice firm torque. You don't want to over torque it or have it slip off and round out your nut. So yeah, that's important. Put your needle in next, and then your spring-loaded fluid knob. Screw in. What I usually do, I usually tighten it all the way to the tight, so it can't go anymore, and then I back it off 3 or 4. I did 4 in that case. Okay, now that's all operational. Put your air cap back on. And yeah, now we're all set. Cheers.